So, ladies and gentlemen, I really wanted to do a reaction to this because I think this video is very interesting and it's very important. Now, I'm glad to see somebody like Asmongold covering this and talking about this. And I will say that on 70 or 80% of this topic, Asmongold and I agree. But the part where we disagree, the part where we have a difference of opinion is that I don't think that it's actually racist to identify which group is committing the most amount of this sort of behavior and to identify that as a problem and then work to come up with a solution. Asmongold is very uncomfortable by that. Now, I understand it's because he's on Twitch. Maybe it's because it's what he personally believes. It also could be that there are people like Hassan that are looking for any opportunity to call him a racist, and if they don't have an actual legitimate case, they'll just make it up. So maybe he's being extra cautious for that reason. For me, I think that the only way that you solve a problem is by getting into specifics. Like, for example, if I said, well, World of Warcraft is going through a tough time because of this, and this, and the response was, well, yeah, but a lot of games have a problem. There's a lot of problems in gaming. Like, why don't we talk about the nebulized problems in video games? Well, sure, we can do that, but I want to talk about this specific one because we want a solution that is beneficial for everyone, and clearly ignoring the problem or pretending that it isn't this group of people and that the numbers that they're exporting aren't a goddamn epidemic. Like, we need to talk specifically about this, and if we can't, then we're never going to come up with a solution that's beneficial for everyone. And as an America First nationalist, I want what's best for Americans. I want everyone in America to do well. I want us to be a high trust, high honor society. That's what I would like to see. So to do that, you have to be able to identify the problems, to talk about them openly and honestly, and not try to nebulize everything because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
It's between niggas and black people. You understand? God. And what it should be called is nigga fatigue. Because even black people have nigga fatigue. You understand? The ghetto ratchet bullshit. All the ignorant stuff that these...
Why is he dressed up like Mario, though?
Really? Like,
yeah, why is that? Like, that's crazy, right? Anyway, so, no, a lot of people say this, and it's antisocial behavior is the problem.
These people stand for, all the ignorant stuff that these people defend,
yeah,
all the weird shit that these people say, all the victimization and,
Did you hear it? Like, let's go back. Let's go back.
Why is he dressed up like Mario, though?
Really? Like,
yeah, why is that? Like, that's crazy, right? Anyway, so, no, a lot of people say this, and it's antisocial behavior is the problem.
It's antisocial behavior that's the problem. Do you see what I mean about nebulizing the problem? No, it's not antisocial behavior. I'm sure what they're doing is antisocial. But if it were just a nebulized antisocial problem, you would see the numbers would match up about on those lines, because there are far more antisocial people in the white community than the black community. Far more. So you would see, 7, 8, it'd be 6, 7, 8 times the number of videos of people spraying fruit with, bug spray, of fights going on at, restaurants. You'd see an exponentially different number. And yet, that's not the case. Oh, sure, there are plenty of videos of Karens and obnoxious people and fights, but it's the numbers that are important. And considering the population differences, that is worth having a conversation about. Trying to nebulize the problem is not going to come up with any sort of cogent solution, at least from my perspective. You have to tailor the solution to the problem. Sort of like a solution for one game doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the right solution for another game.
These people stand for, all the ignorant stuff that these people defend,
yeah,
all the weird shit that these people say, all the victimization acceptance of the bigotry of low expectations and all the Stockholm syndrome and all that shit like that, all the random acts of violence that people want to ignore because it's black on black, which they also want to ignore and just say it's proximity crime, but no, it's black on black crime. It's an epidemic.
They're not gonna like this, bro. People are not gonna like this on the internet. They're gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable. And the truth usually is. The truth usually is something that you don't want to hear. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good to hear the truth like this, that there's a problem. But the best thing that you can do for yourself and everyone around you that you care about is to listen to the harsh truth and take them in. Now, some stuff won't be true. Some stuff you'd be like, well, I can't really apply this. But a lot of it you will be able to. And I think that's why it's more important to speak honestly about this than to sugarcoat it or to dance around it. I think that being genuine in this and coming from a place of love, as I am, coming from a place of I want all Americans to do better, I think is the right approach. And being able to talk about race and do so in a way that isn't hateful, that isn't based on we hate this group of people, but we really want this group to reform themselves, to better themselves, and to stop living in delusion. How many TikToks have we seen? And I covered it the other day. Have we seen of this cope about Egypt? In fact, I'm going to take a bit of a detour, and I'm actually going to pull it up from my YouTube, because if I can find it, it's from my video I did called let's pull this up. My video I did called We Was Pharaohs. Now, the purpose of this is to highlight the fact that there are TikToks going around that are LARPing about, in ancient Egypt, we were the dominant civilization. We were brilliant. We led this flourishing society. And just so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to have a little. And that before colonization, they were just the most brilliant, most advanced, most sophisticated. I mean, I just can't even say it with a straight face. Yeah. This was the TikTok that was going around, and there are other ones at this point. But this is the delusion, and it's a mass delusion. There's a lot of people who believe this. And so, that is an important element of dealing with this. That you have people that not only don't want to acknowledge the problem, but they've created this fantasy that we was pharaohs, we was kings. No, you weren't. You were not. The cold reality, no one wants to talk about this, is that you were primitives living in mud huts that were conquered by other primitives living in mud huts. And then you were sold to people around the world as slaves. That's the reality. I mean, and this just, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary, because I've never in my life known any problem to be solved by not addressing it honestly and openly. I've never once seen a plumber or an electrician come in and be like, well, I'm not really going to look at what the problem is, but I'm just going to start doing stuff. It's like, no, you have to get hyper specific about what the problem is. You have to, if you're a doctor, break the fever in order to come out on the other side. Medicine sometimes makes you feel a little bit worse before you get better.
Black fatigue is some real shit, and y'all are getting what the fuck y'all wanted to get when y'all want.
By the way, Asmongold was the one that said it wasn't black fatigue. I said it was black fatigue. This guy says it's black fatigue. Asmongold said it wasn't black fatigue. But then I understand from Asmon's position, he's in a whole, I mean, he is he's the biggest streamer on Twitch. The biggest streamer on Twitch. He's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of eyeballs on him. I understand from his position, he's got a lot to protect. So maybe it's just being prudent, because he's got a stalker named Hassan Piker, Hamas, Diddy, Bin Laden, Adolf, R. Kelly Piker, just obsessed about him because, Hassan used to be the biggest political streamer and now he's number 2. So from that point of view, maybe he has to be a little bit more careful about what he says. But I think at the end of the day, the best thing to do is to be honest. It doesn't matter what people like Hassan say. They're serial liars. They'll make things up about you anyway.
Wanted to perpetuate racism because nobody in America is perpetuating racism but black people. Get out of your neighborhood and out from around all the rest of them.
I think the problem is that this is the issue, is that I do think that white people push it too, but the difference is that when a black person does a racism, people try to contort themselves in reasons why it's okay. But when a white person does a racism, everybody is like, oh yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. I think that's like I said, 70-80% agreement. I agree with that completely. There are many times where people will see somebody acting racist and be like, yeah, that's not helpful, that's not good, and it's obnoxious. But the black community thinks that, well, no, we're in the middle of a tribal war, and so it doesn't matter if somebody's racist, it doesn't matter if somebody's criminal, it doesn't matter if somebody is like the scum of the earth, as is the case with George Floyd, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. All these people were just absolute detriments to not only their community, but civilization as a whole. And all of them were criminal. All of them were violent. All of them were lauded as like these saints, like Saint Trayvon Martin, Saint Michael Brown, Saint George Floyd, and none of it was true. It was all a delusion. So they play these games, and it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone. The Jussie Smollett sort of situation. It's like it doesn't help anyone to support that sort of behavior.
That's really where that's the problem, and that's what I think gets people mad.
Bullshit people that you fuck with to understand the reality of what's going on in the world. And what you will see is that it's people that look like me that's perpetuating racism, because white people don't give a fuck. They not running around talking about what our hairstyles are and you can't wear this and you can't wear that and you can't say this.
That's true. No, it is true. You don't have white people usually going around like, we invented this hairstyle, unless it's in response to some overtly racist, pathetic, desperate need for validation from the black community. Like, oh, no, we invented braids. No, you didn't. It's called the Dutch braid. It's like, oh, we were the first slaves. No, the word slave comes from Slavic. No, like everything that they try to take credit for is something that was stolen from another community, another culture, even Egypt, which they were not black. Let me just state that for the record.
And you can't say that. It's weird, bro. It's weird, and it's over.
I mean, as a white person, I haven't really gone around and done that. Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I don't think I've done that.
It's over because y'all ain't ready for what you asking for. You're not ready for that race war. While y'all flapping y'all trap and waiting on the white man to give you what you need to jump off a race war, them white boys in the motherfucking woods doing calisthenics and running drills and shooting and throwing knives and learning how to live off the land. They ready for that. Y'all not ready for that, bro. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all just talking a bunch of shit, and that goes to show your privilege and how spoiled the black community has become.
Insane.
How spoiled the black community has become. Damn. Yeah, he is definitely cooking.
Period. I don't see no white privilege. That's
Oh
black
my
privilege
God.
everywhere I see. You understand? It's a lot of degenerate shit going on between both races, though. Especially with the Carmelo Anthony thing. That was some degenerate punk bullshit.
He's right. What kind of a fucking retard goes and defends that shit? Yes, what are you even thinking? What are you doing? Why would you say this? Why would you defend this? Yes, perfectly said. It was some pump bullshit. Yes. Like, and the thing is that he's so unfathomable based. Yes, it's like that Shiloh fucking, whatever her name was, Hendrix girl, calling some black kid the N-word. Like, this shit would have never even popped off. Nobody would have even brought this up. It would have been done and dusted in a day. Nobody would have cared. But it's because of that Carmelo Anthony bullshit that then you had a bunch of white people get together and be like, well, we're gonna raise more money than you did.
He's right. But the thing that I find to be highly inappropriate is to even compare these two situations in the same breath. Because on one hand, you had a black kid who killed a white kid in cold blood. On the other hand, you had a woman who used the N-word. And by the way, I don't believe the pedophile that the kid was 5 years old. That was something that was repeated. I don't know why people believe that. He was like 10 or 12. But using these situations in the same breath is just so inappropriate because they're not even anywhere near the same scale. Not even anywhere near the same scale. What Carmelo Anthony did is infinitely worse. You can't even put a number on it. It's infinitely worse. Infinitely worse. And I think it's a disservice to even compare the two. Because one is words. Oh, my feelings were hurt. The other is somebody's life is over.
It's dumb as hell.
He's a coward, period. I don't give a fuck. He's a fucking coward. Justice to all slain children. And as far as like Shiloh Hendrix, she's fucking trash. I'm sorry, she's trash.
Yeah, of course she is. You just look, yeah, of course.
I just wanna go back.
Like, this shit would have never even popped off. Nobody would have even
I'm not here to shit on Asmongold, but I want you to pay attention to something.
brought this up. It would have been done and dusted in a day. Nobody would have cared. But it's because of that Carmelo Anthony bullshit that then you had a bunch of white people get together and be like, well, we're gonna raise more money than you did. It's dumb as hell.
He's a coward, period. I don't give a fuck. He's a fucking coward. Justice to all slain children. And as far as like Shiloh Hendrix, she's fucking trash. I'm sorry, she's trash.
So, Asmon, here's something that I've noticed. Okay, I don't know if you call that criticism or whatnot. When he talked about Carmelo Anthony stabbing and murdering, a white kid, your facial expression was like stone-faced, like completely stone-faced. When he mentions Shiloh Hendrix, that's when you start getting animated. Like, yeah. I don't know what that's about, but I find it to be odd because for me, the thing that would get me animated, the thing that would actually piss me off is the murder. Not that some woman used the N-word. I mean, how many times have I been at a Walmart at midnight and heard some fat chick say the N-word? For me, it's not, these are not equivalent at all. And the one that should get you animated, the one that should piss you off, is the murder. These are not the same, these are not equivalent in any degree, in any shape, way, matter, or form, in any perspective. What she did was ill-advised, stupid, and inappropriate. What he did was evil.
Of course she is. You just look, yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna just be honest, bro. Yeah.
they want to get behind trash, that's on them. But I don't blame them.
But
because
that's the problem, is that if you want, if this is the problem, is that when somebody who's trash gets supported by one group, then you're going to have somebody else that's trash that gets supported by the opposite group. Because they say, oh, okay, you want to play this game? Let's play this game.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Let me take a moment to comport myself before I respond, because I don't want to say anything that I would regret saying out of anger and frustration. If their side supports somebody, let me hear him again in his own words.
Look, I'm gonna just be honest, bro. Yeah.
if they want to get behind trash, that's on them. But I don't blame them.
But that's the problem, is that if you want, if this is the problem, is that when somebody who's trash gets supported by one group, then you're going to have somebody else that's trash that gets supported by the opposite group.
Okay. So my issue with that statement is not that it's not untrue. It's not that it's not untrue. Or it's that I'm a little brain broken from that. And I'll explain. We're not dealing with, oh, that person's trash. Like Carmelo Anthony called somebody a cracker at this event and was racist, and then walked off, and everyone was fine. And this woman used the N-word, and that was bad. Those people are trash. The black community didn't just support somebody who was trash, they supported somebody who was evil. This piece of shit, this subhuman animal who belongs in a zoo, and that's exactly where they're going. They're going to prison for the rest of their life. This animal killed somebody in cold blood. That's not just being trash. You can call her white trash, you can call her trash, that's fine. But the way that he said it, the reason why it frustrated me is because there's this equivalency game. And I'm not about that. I don't think there is any equivalency here. I think that to even call them both trash is a disrespect to Austin Metcalf, who died because this animal pulled the knife and killed him in cold blood. This woman used the N-word. Should she be chastised? Sure. If you want to do that, if you want to, go she's bad and stuff like that, fine. But it's not, oh, well, they supported someone who's trash, so this other group supported someone who's trash. Comparatively to Carmelo Anthony, she may as well be a model citizen. She didn't kill anyone. She said a bad word. And that's really what I'm getting at. And that's really where my frustration comes from, is just the fact that there's this whataboutism. Well, they supported somebody bad, so we supported somebody bad. They're not the same. They're not the same. I agree that it was a response. It was a quote-unquote retaliation. But what would have equalized this? Carmelo Anthony kills Austin Metcalf in cold blood, stabs him, and the black community comes out and supports Carmelo Anthony. They raise a bunch of money. What would be equivalent would be if some white person went out and killed a black guy, and it was a whole thing, and said it was in response to this, and then white people went out and supported that guy. That would have been equivalent in terms of how absolutely evil and diabolical and terrible it was. But the people that the whites support are somebody that said a bad word in public. Yeah.
Because they say, oh, okay, you want to play this game? Let's play this game.
Again. Oh, you want to play this game of killing a white person? Well, we're going to play this game of saying a bad word. These things are not equal.
You want to defend this asshole? We're going to defend this other asshole.
Oh, Asman. Oh, Asman. Yeah, yeah, the guy's just an asshole. Carmelo Anthony's just an asshole. I mean, yeah, sure, he killed somebody in cold blood. And she just said a bad word. But yeah, both assholes. Do you start to see what I'm getting at here? Do you start to see my frustration at this conversation? That there's an attempt to nebulize everything. There's an attempt to downplay everything. There's an attempt to sort of equalize, like, oh, these things are both the same. Is she white trash? Absolutely, she's white trash. Should she have said that? No. But they're not just both assholes here. There is levels to this sort of thing. He's an evil piece of human garbage. He's an animal, not an asshole, an animal, and she's an asshole.
And now everybody's stupid. That the trash wars, I know. He gets the nuance. Yeah, this is no. The thing is that the reality is that if you go to McDonald's and you see a guy that looks like this, he's probably going to have these same fucking opinions. If you go to Walmart and you see, this is the way most people think, by the way.
It's not. Not in the black community, no. No, it just isn't. No, no. This is, again, the nebulization. Like, this guy is normalized. No. I imagine that Asmongold said it before. This guy's going to get major pushback. Because the black community does not agree with what this guy is saying. They agree with the Michael Brown narrative. They still think that OJ's innocent. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I was looking at that, and there was this survey of, like, do you believe that OJ did it? And a vast majority of the black community still believes that he did it, that he didn't do it, that he's innocent. So no, I don't believe that. I think what makes this video special is that Asman realizes, and I realize, that this is not typically what the black community says, or what they believe, or how they behave. That's why it's worth even talking about. If this were the norm, if this sort of opinion were the norm, we wouldn't even be discussing it.
They just saw a bunch of people who look like me get behind a trash ass person too.
Yeah.
And they just
It makes
tired
people
of
racist. It does.
as anybody
It's
else
bad.
because the racism has been towards them for the past few decades.
Yeah.
But you still want to say it's towards you when it's not. When you have the privilege, you don't even know that you have the privilege. You don't even know that you had reparations. We've been had reparations. And to tell the truth, the United States does not even owe us reparations. Africa owes our ancestors
You're talking about your lived experience in Texas. People in liberal states actually act like crazies. I am in a liberal state. It's called Austin. You know what happens whenever I go from Austin to California? The price of things goes up. Everything else stays the same. It's more expensive in California, and the weather's better, to be fair. Yeah, it's basically the same city.
reparations. But you want to pass on that because Africa's black people. I think y'all scared of white people. Because it's been many times in the hood where, some white cops did something and then one of you fools came and killed a black person behind it. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. It's time for shit to change. It's time to move forward. Don't nobody give a fuck about no slavery. Don't nobody give a fuck about no past.
I think that's the way a lot of white people feel, especially like young white guys, right? It's like they see some guy that they grow up with. It's like something that happened. And the problem, I think, is that there are like residual echo effects and like ripple effects from slavery and like pre-civil rights Jim Crow shit.
No, there's not. No, that's total bullshit. If that were the case, then other groups that had been, held down or discriminated against, even worse than blacks, would still be under the same issue. No, that's not the problem at all. That's a cope. That's a deflection. That's an obfuscation. That's something that is meant to be. I'm not saying that he means it this way, but it's a virtue signal. That's exactly what it is. No, you see, in the past, they had these issues. Yeah, so did everyone. Yeah, go back in time and look who had it really, really good. Who had it really good? Well, white people. No, This country was founded by people that were fleeing the tyranny of England. Like, no, nobody had it good. Nobody had it great. And yet, this country has managed to become the superpower of the world in just 250 years.
But it's hard to have a conversation about that in an honest way because everybody wants to think about it from like one angle and that's it. Not really though.
Yeah.
I think that it's personal, but I think that you can get a demographic. You can find a demographic commonality and a demographic trend without necessarily applying it to an individual. Does that make sense?
Sure. But when you're yeah, sure. You don't have to blame, like, this guy is not responsible for Carmelo Anthony because they're the same skin color. But at the same time, if a community of people, a large amount of people, raise an exorbitant amount of money for somebody who killed, if after George Floyd's death 5 years, the black community is still running with the narrative that he was Saint George, you can't blame everyone in that community, sure. But you can make an extrapolation that the black community supports this because the vast majority of the conversations are pro this with no pushback.
We have a future and we not even concentrating on it. Period. I said what I said. Say what the fuck you want to say about me. Get mad, talk shit. I don't give a damn. I want all the smoke because I have black fatigue too.
Let me go ahead and give you an example, right? Let's say you're black, you're 35, 34, right? You're my age. Your grandpa probably grew up before civil rights. The probability that he received an education that fully informed and educated him in the usage of the English language is probably low. And growing up in a family that doesn't use English in a proper way and doesn't know how to speak proper English and use grammar and communicate in a way that's efficient, that is going to be a class indicator. And this is also something that happens with white people too. It's not universal, but one of the ways that a lot of people that are like higher class can tell that you're not is the way that you talk, the way that you communicate. And a lot of these people, if you're communicating in a way that is broken English, you're not able to express yourself in an effective way, that is going to be a massive detriment to you as an individual. And what I'm saying is that things, and growing up in a family, this is a generational thing that, of course, obviously it can change in a generation, but when you're starting on the back foot, you can assume that out of 1,000 people, 1,000 families, 1,000,000 families, the ones that have a generational advantage of, let's say, 4 generations are on average probably going to be better than the ones that have a generational advantage of 1.
Bullshit. Bullshit. More cope, more excuses from Asmongold not wanting to talk about this. Hey, Asmon, my grandfather immigrated to this country in the 1940s, mid-1940s. He was an Italian that after the war was living in Africa, South Africa. So he spoke very little English. Do you know what he didn't go to school here. You know, he didn't go to school here. Do you know the first thing he did when he got here? He learned the language. Now, was it perfect? No. But he learned it and he repeated it over and over, and he actually got very good because he put the time and effort to actually learn. Now, he spoke a couple words of English before he got here, but he mostly spoke Italian, and I don't know what the language was of South Africa, but he could speak that too. But he came over here and he learned English. And yeah, I think that it is a cope. It is an excuse to say that language is the barrier. If you want to learn, you will learn. And these sort of excuses have been used for decades and decades about, oh, why the black man is socioeconomics. He doesn't understand English. No, it's all excuse making. It's all cope. Especially today with computers and translation tools, people have more advantages than they've ever had, and they've had this for a long time. So no, I don't buy that as an excuse. I think that's a cop-out. I think that is a deflection because, Asman, if you want to know my honest opinion about this, I think you're right on a lot of the stuff, but I think that the topic in general makes you very uneasy and very uncomfortable because I think that you're terrified of being called racist. That's my personal belief. I could be totally wrong, but that's what it appears to me. Because the nebulizing of everything, the removal of race from the equation at all, this guy is telling you what it is. This guy is being way more honest about it than you are. And I think you should listen to him and take what he has to say at face value.
I mean, this is it's pure logic. It like if you're a disingenuous, dishonest, completely off base. Okay, I'm gonna just take. Let me finish this video. You want to type out if you want to type out why you think this is off base, that's fine. But let me go ahead and finish the video first, okay? And you can type it out.
And so do the rest of the black people. Tired of it, dude. We tired of y'all representing for us because y'all don't speak for us. Y'all don't think like we think. Y'all don't do what we do. As a matter of fact, you do us worse than you do white people because we're in proximity to your bullshit.
Nope.
I don't know. I said what the fuck I said.
Based.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it. I think there's a lot of people that feel this way, and it's especially like the antisocial behavior. And I think the problem is that antisocial bad behavior, it's hard to call that stuff out. And I think that like people in America have a hard time calling that out because they're worried that if they do, it'll be perceived as racism.
Which he's using coded language. Because we have no problem calling out antisocial behavior in the white community. What? No one has a single problem calling out Jack Doherty for being a piece of shit, for being a retard. No one has any problem when he's using this coded language. We have no problem calling out antisocial behavior in the white community, if there is such a thing as the white community. We have no problem doing that. No problem at all. How many times have, people shit on streamers and content creators for their antisocial personalities? It's no problem with that. It's that when you get into the black community, that's when you get into trouble. So it's not just antisocial, it's the black community and people's fear of being labeled something, which honestly, in this day and age, has no meaning. It has no power. Being called a racist by somebody like Hassan, who visits underage brothels and supports terrorists, what does that fucking mean? It means nothing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you sticking around for the whole video. That'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.